Hi everyone, my name is Sophia and I am so excited to be doing this video. I watch these types of videos all the time and I love hearing people talk about books. I love talking with people about books. It is just such a great connector and community. So I thought, you know what? I want to join the community. I want to start sharing about reading and books and everything that I like to read. So in this video, I will be sharing all the books I read so far in 2024. So far, I read 20 books. I started the year kind of reading a little bit more literary fiction, and then it slowly has evolved into many other genres, which there isn't a specific genre I like more than the other. I just like a good story. So whatever book can give me that, I love it. The first book I read this year, I actually listened to this on audio, The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. This follows our main character, Alice, who is new to America. She's from England. She moves to Kentucky. She's just married this very wealthy man, and they live in small town Kentucky. And this is set during the Depression era, so a call goes out for women to deliver books to different people in the towns, and Alice is joining the call for what is known as the Pack Horse Librarians of Kentucky. So this is based on a true story, and it basically follows Alice just figuring out her life. I would almost call this a coming of age, even though she's fully an adult, but she's finding her way with making friends in the group of women who are delivering books, with her marriage, with the town, the townspeople. I gave this book 4 stars. I listened to it on audio, so I really enjoyed Julia Whelan, who narrated it, and her different voices and characterization for everybody. What I love about this too is that JoJo made more of a backstory for the side characters, so they weren't just side characters, they had their own stories as well, so you get more of a well-rounded story. So I gave this book 4 stars and I really enjoyed it. The next book I read is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. This follows Lenny, who's an only child, and her parents are living in Seattle, and they move to Alaska in search of a better life. Lenny's dad has some, I think it's PTSD, but he just doesn't do very well during winter months. So when they move to Alaska and winter rolls around, he's not doing too well. This really is a coming of age of Lenny just finding herself, finding friends in her new city, and dealing with her inconsistent dad and her mom, who will do anything to make her dad happy. But she also protects her daughter, and those two can conflict quite a few times. So this is just about Lenny adapting to her new environment in Alaska and everything that comes with that with her family. I gave this 4 stars. I just love the way that Kristen Hanna can tell a story. It is so immersive, and I felt like I was one of Lenny's friends, just being right there with her. She writes really strong women, and I love reading about them. So this was 4 stars, very, very good. Then I picked up For One More Day by Mitch Albom. This is about Charlie, who is just kind of down and out in life, and his daughter just got married. Or no, let me start from the beginning. When he was younger, Charlie's dad told him you can either be a mama's boy or a daddy's boy, but you can't be both. So Charlie chose his dad, and then his dad, when he was 11 years old, left him and his family. So his mom raises him. Then years later, Charlie is just down and out in life, and his daughter just got married, and he wasn't invited to the wedding. As a last resort, he decides to go to his old childhood home, and there he finds his mom. But his mom has been dead for 8 years. So this is the story of what would you do with one more day with a parent that you've lost, with anybody that you've lost. And in it, he gets backstory on what really happened with his dad, things that his mom never told him, family secrets. I gave this 5 stars, which is crazy for it being my 3rd book in 2024. And there's also a little plot twist at the end of this. I really, really liked this. Then I picked up Forgive by Timothy Keller. This is my first Tim Keller book. I really wanted to read something by him when I saw that he had passed earlier this year, I believe. So I thought this would be a great first book by him. This book is really just about what the title is, Forgive. It comes at forgiveness from a biblical perspective. It just tells how to forgive, steps you need to take to forgive, the problem with not forgiving. One thing I do like about Timothy Keller's writing is that he cites the Bible a lot, because I think that's important for Christian writers, is to cite your sources. So the fact that he was quoting the Bible in here a lot was really helpful to put pieces together. Then I finally got around to reading the 2nd book in the Magnolia Park series. This is Daisy Hates. If you don't know anything about the Magnolia Park series, basically the first book follows a couple, Magnolia and BJ. This book follows Daisy and Christian. So a different couple, but during the same timeline as Magnolia Parks. Am I blurry? So this is about Daisy and Christian, and it is very day-to-day. It's more character-driven because it's just about them doing day-to-day things. It's not a lot of things happening in each scene. It is just going to the store, watching a movie, going to a party. But this was very good. I gave this 4 stars. Something I love about Jessa's books are her covers. There are so many clues or Easter eggs that are on this cover, but you don't know the significance of it until you get to that part in the book. And I love the way that Jessa Hastings writes. It is, again, so real. And even just her quotes, I'm like, how did you think of that? Similar to Taylor Swift. How did that get in your brain? Then I picked up another Timothy Keller book, which is actually kind of funny that Daisy Hates is in the middle of 2 Tim Keller books. That's probably never been done before. This is about how to have a more biblical marriage. It ties in a lot of the Bible, which I so appreciate because I need to have tie-ins to basically everything that you say when it comes to biblical writing. And that is pretty much it. It is just about how to have a biblical marriage. And there was one specific quote in here that I really enjoyed. I'll put it on the screen, but that is basically what the book is about. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I would like to pick up more Tim Keller books. Next, I read my first Gabrielle Zevin book. This is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. This is about A.J. Fikry, who owns a bookstore. He doesn't really like anybody, and one day he comes to his bookstore and there is a mysterious package in his bookstore. And that's all I can say because I'll give too much away. But it's just about his life and how after this package mysteriously appears on his bookstore, in his bookstore, how his life changes. This is a very quick read. It's less than 300 pages. And that was kind of where I had a little bit of an issue with this book, is it was very quick, and between some chapters you would skip ahead years. So I feel like we didn't get to really connect or get to know the characters as much as I would have wanted to. But yes, I think I gave this a 3 stars just because I feel like, again, I didn't really know the characters too well, so it kind of felt like when everything ended, I didn't feel what I think I was supposed to feel. Then I read Hope in Empty Places by Charlie Weir. This is about how to have hope and strength during hard times in your life. And in the book, there are stories of people who did just that, and that was really fun to read. I really appreciate the people that shared these hard things that they went through. Almost every single page, I don't even know if you can even see all that. A lot of it is underlined and written in, and there's little note sections at the end of each chapter so you can kind of write your notes. But there's one quote at the beginning that is basically the basis of this entire book. Empty is an illusion because Jesus Christ is an ever-present, all-knowing, all-powerful presence. As such, empty cannot exist. Yeah, I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed the writing in this. And again, using the Bible throughout this was very helpful to connect the dots with what he was writing about. So I really liked this. Next, I picked up Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. Something you should know about me, Riley Sager, I think I'm his #1 fan. This follows our main character, Jules. She gets an opportunity to apartment sit at the Bartholomew, which is this huge apartment building in New York. So she goes there, she starts apartment sitting, and she makes friends with another apartment sitter, and that apartment sitter goes missing. So she has to deduce what happened to her. Why are people here so secretive? Why can I not bring guests in from the outside? What's really going on here? Riley Sager will always write something super suspenseful, super thrilling. I love his writing. I love the way he can string me along and just keep me guessing till the very end. And the twist in here, I was not expecting. That was kind of out of the blue, but also looking back, I can definitely see the clues that were pointing towards that specific ending. I did give this 3 stars. I feel like at the point when I had read this book, this was my 4th or 5th Riley Sager book, and I was just kind of tired of reading about, I just feel like he was writing the same story with a female character who is sad, then something happens to where she needs to investigate something. At this point, I was just tired of reading that from him. He still does it amazingly, but I was just tired of that. But 3 stars isn't bad. So it was still good. I just wanted something new from him. Next, I picked up Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and I actually listened to this on audio. This is about Sadie and Sam, who are childhood friends, and they go to college together and they create a big blockbuster video game called Ichigo. And the story basically just takes us through their lives and how this video game that they created that is very popular now changes their lives both together and separately. It may be because I listened to this on audio, but I feel like it was a little bit long for what was really going on. I did like the writing in this. It's very simplistic. There's nothing really crazy about how Gabrielle can write a sentence. It's very simplistic and straightforward, but and maybe that's why I feel like it was too long. Also, sometimes I feel if I listen to it on audio, it depends on how the narrator narrates it, and I don't think I really enjoyed the narrator of this, and I feel like that affected my rating of the overall book as well. So 3 stars, not a bad book, but not my favorite. Then I picked up my first Kindle book, The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. The Soulmate is about a couple, Pippa and Gabe, who live on this cliff in Australia, which is a very popular place for people. So Gabe is always the one to go talk people down off the ledge and get them to rethink life and move on. One night, Pippa sees Gabe talking to a woman on the ledge, and from where she's standing, it looks like he pushes her off the cliff. Then a big investigation rolls around because no one has ever actually jumped. So Pippa has to figure out if what she saw was actually true. Then it is also revealed that Gabe knew the woman. So who was this woman? Did he actually push her? If he did, why? What's the story? I love Sally Hepworth because she is one of the authors that got me back into reading in 2020. So I will always look forward to a Sally Hepworth book. And what I love specifically about her writing is that her chapters are short and every chapter ends on a cliffhanger. And that's exactly what this book had. The chapters were short. Each chapter ended with something that made me want to keep reading. And then next thing I knew, I was done with the book. I did give this 4 stars because I was reading this so quickly. The chapters just kept pulling me along. I just wanted to get to the end to know what happened. Then on Kindle, I read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This follows Cassie, who is really good at reading people. So she gets recruited for this FBI program called The Naturals, who are a bunch of teenage kids like her who are really good at profiling people, reading minds, reading people. What they've been recruited to do is look at cold cases and try to solve them. But during her time with The Naturals, a new killer strikes, and it is very similar to a specific cold case they are looking at. I gave this 3 stars. With this book being YA, it felt a little immature at times, but I also know that I'm not maybe the target audience for YA, but to me, it still felt a little childish and silly. This is a series, so this is the first in the series. I think I will pick up the following 3 books eventually. I'm not really in a hurry to do that, but it was good and I want to see where the story goes. Next, I picked up Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is about Hannah who comes back to her hometown and she goes out with her high school friend one night to a bar, and there she sees her high school boyfriend Ethan. Her high school friend Gabby wants her to go back home with Gabby, but Hannah wants to stay at the bar with Ethan. Then the story goes from there. What would happen if Hannah goes back home with Gabby or if she stays at the bar with Ethan? And this was such a cool concept for a book because it's really interesting looking at how your decisions really affect your life. And in these concurrent storylines, her life plays out very differently, but also similarly. I gave this 4 stars. I was flying through this because the not dual timelines, the concurrent timelines of what is going on was very interesting. Being in the different worlds that this one girl is living out was very interesting, and I really liked the idea of this story. Then on audio, I listened to The Reappearance of Rachel Price. This is about Belle, who her and her family are doing a documentary about the disappearance of her mom, Rachel Price. But then during the filming of this documentary, her mom reappears, hence The Reappearance of Rachel Price. When her mom comes back, she is not really the same, and her stories aren't really adding up with the amount of time that she has been gone and things like where she could have been and things that happened the day of her disappearance. They're not really making sense. So then Belle goes on her own little investigation trying to figure out what really happened. I gave this 3 stars. Again, this is YA, so it felt a little difficult for me to wrap my head around a lot of what was going on. But the problem I had with it was the ending, because I felt like a lot of things were grazed over and just kind of a lot of people just allowed things to happen that I was thinking, no, that wouldn't actually happen. It was a little far-fetched, that specific ending, but the twists throughout were intriguing and that made me want to keep reading, or while I listened to it. But yeah, the ending, I didn't think it was a good ending. Next, I read The Quarry Girls by Jess Lourey. This is actually based on a true story. This is about a girl in a neighboring town goes missing. Then our main character, Heather, sees something she wasn't supposed to see. Then her and her friend Brenda try to figure out if what they saw was what they actually saw. Why is nobody talking about it? Why are the police being weird? And how does that tie into the girl missing? I gave this 3 stars. I was rushing to finish this book and I feel like the ending did not do it for me. This was my first Jess Lourey book and I don't think it'll be my last because I did enjoy the pacing, but I just wish that the ending was a little bit more rewarding. Then on Kindle, I read the new Sally Hepworth book, Darling Girls. This is about 3 girls who are all put into foster care together at this foster home under the care of Miss Fairchild. Then present day, they are all drawn back together because there has been a body found underneath their old foster home house. You get backstories on the girls and how they came into the foster home and their history and their life in the foster home and their life with Miss Fairchild, and then also present day, the investigation of what's going on. I really liked this book. I liked the foster home setting, even though it was sad at times. The character of Miss Fairchild made for a very good thriller because she added a lot into the book because her character is very inconsistent. She was a very interesting character to read about. Then I have what started a very big romance kick for me, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is about Alexis and Daniel, who are from very different worlds. Alexis is a doctor in the city and Daniel is a country boy. But don't think cowboy country, think just small town country. They meet, I'm pretty sure, because Alexis hits a raccoon or something on a country road and Daniel comes to rescue her, basically, because he stumbles upon her crash. Then they start to get to know each other and fall for each other, but they are from very different worlds, so they kind of think it can never work out between them because of how different their lives are. Alexis is a doctor and it runs in her family. Everybody is in the medical field and she comes from money, and Daniel doesn't. He's very close with the townspeople that he lives near. I really liked this book. This was my first Abby Jimenez book. It will not be my last. I'm angry with myself for not picking this up sooner. I loved the way that when there was conflict between the 2 characters, the way it was resolved was very mature. I really enjoyed the characters and the writing. This started something for me. Okay, then yeah, Beach Read by Emily Henry. I'm probably the last person on earth to read this. This is about Augustus and January, who are 2 writers. They went to college together. They are college rivals. For reasons you find out later in the book, January moves into her dad's lake house, which is right next door to her college rival, Gus. January has a lot of issues going on in her life, and same with Gus. So they decide to strike up a deal and switch writing genres. January usually writes romance, Gus typically writes literary fiction, and they decide to switch genres. So January takes him on dates for him to get an idea of what goes on in romance books and takes him on things that he can draw from for his writing inspiration. And then Gus takes January to interview members of a death cult. I gave this book 5 stars. I have read Emily Henry before, but never this. The way that Emily Henry writes banter, the way that she writes her characters are there's so much more than a romance going on in this book. There's a lot more in depth with the characters, but 5 stars, amazing. Then I wanted to keep my romance streak going, so I picked up This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This is about Lucy, who goes to Prince Edward Island and she meets a guy named Felix, and they spend the night together, only to realize that Felix is Lucy's best friend's brother. But this summer, Bridget, Lucy's best friend, wants Lucy to come out to the island a week before Bridget is supposed to get married. So Lucy is very confused why she's wanting to do this a week before her wedding. There's a little aspect of, why are you running from wedding planning? What is going on? I think coming off of a high after reading Part of Your World and Beach Read was not great to follow it up with This Summer Will Be Different, because I was comparing this to the other characters, which I know I shouldn't do that. I just didn't really connect with this. I loved her first book, Every Summer Will Be, or no, I did love her first book, Every Summer After. That is my favorite Carly Fortune book. This book didn't really do it for me. I feel like some of the things that were said between the characters were very cringy and I couldn't really get on board. But 3 stars, that's not a bad rating. It just wasn't my favorite Carly Fortune book. And the last book that I have read so far this year, Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. Again, we don't have to go over my love for Riley Sager, but this was really good. This follows Ethan, who is our main character. Him and his friend Billy are having a sleepover in Ethan's front yard one summer. Ethan wakes up to find that Billy is gone. Then 30 years later, Ethan returns to his childhood home where Billy was taken, and he starts seeing really cryptic things and clues pointing to Billy returning. So Ethan has to figure out what happened to Billy, where did he go, did somebody take him? There were so many twists and turns in this that really I did not see coming and were super fun to guess and be wrong. I gave this 4 stars. I feel like this is a great summer read. Riley Sager is an amazing thriller author. Those are all the books that I've read this year so far. I feel like it's been a good reading year, and I'm currently in the middle of 2 books right now that I'm really liking as well. So I would love to, at the end of this year, do the other half of the books that I have read since this video. But I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you are reading, what you think I should read, if you have read any of these books and what you think about them. I would love to continue posting book videos and maybe more. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.